It's a little aggressive. A little
aggressive, a little Trumpish, a little rude, a little forward. Right. Sorry if anybody's voting for Trump in here. Sorry to offend you. But it's a little aggressive, isn't it? And it's a little, he's a very tall man and comes right at you, stands over you. So after we assume the power stance and we manage attention, then we say to ourselves, I respect my audience. And you say to yourself, I respect my audience. And you look around, and just as we learn to do in practicing saying the mantra, and you're going to report on how it went, we say that to our group. We remind ourselves again that we respect our audience, and remember, we say what we mean and mean what we say. You are really going to mean it as you say it silently to yourself. Then the other thing you do is you say your name, feel the love, and start your speech. Let me explain what that is about. We say our name, as you know, because I want people to get to know each other. So this isn't a big impersonal university, but just a smaller group of people that are getting to know each other, right? And you wait for people to say your name back, and that's the feel the love part of it, and then you start your speech. Okay? So you've done the 7 steps, and I will start the timer, and you may begin.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
So I found the task of non-verbally communicating respect to people a little bit daunting. Not because I was feeling that I couldn't achieve this task, but because I was positive that I would forget to do it half the time. This made me question myself. I actually had a little mental breakdown / self-evaluation. Was I not a good person? Why was I not non-verbally communicating respect to people on a daily basis? Was I rude? So then I calmed myself down and reminded myself that I am a good person and I am very nice. And I ironically realized that I already wasted the entire walk back up the hill not thinking about consciously respecting people. So I turned my focus back to radiating respect. So I decided to make a hypothesis, like any experiment needs, which I may not know a lot about because I plan on avoiding South Campus for as long as possible while I'm here. So I decided that my hypothesis would be that if I non-verbally communicated respect through my body language, eye contact, kind smiles, it would be reciprocated back to me. And I know that this sounds super simple, but that's because at the time I thought this was going to be a very blank, not emotional task, but I surprised myself. So first of all, I did have some really positive reactions from this. In the last week since we last had class, I went through sorority recruitment, where I literally met hundreds of girls every single day. It was definitely overwhelming, but I went out of my way to communicate respect with them even when I was really hungry or really tired. I would face myself when they were talking, face them when they were talking to me, make eye contact with them, and really show them that I cared about what they were saying. And I definitely felt the love reciprocated. Our whole conversation among groups of people would just have an overall aura of respect, and an uncomfortable situation became very comfortable. I also discovered through this that sometimes it's really hard to break down people's walls to even get the chance to respect them. And I never thought I would feel disrespected or ignored while trying to respect people until I walked down Bruin Walk. Between sunglasses, earphones, the don't talk to me face, I had a really hard time actually getting the chance to show people my eagerness to respect them. But then I kind of realized that people are in their own world and worrying about themselves and not always looking to be respected. But I really believe that if people were more open to making eye contact with people and getting to know the people around them, that everyone would just have like a better day overall. And the last thing that I realized was actually really surprising to me. On Friday, my roommate and I went to the mall because she needed a dress, and I found this the perfect opportunity to stalk people into paying attention to me. This did happen, but I found that people would often look away really quickly after making eye contact with me, or they would fix their hair or touch their face or look in their phones to see if there was something wrong with them. And it never really occurred to me that people so often were not receiving this stranger feeling of respect, that they didn't even know what to do with it. They were just really uncomfortable and assumed I was judging them or looking at them as if there was something wrong with them. So through this whole experiment, I learned way more than just I respect you, you respect me. I learned that the feeling of respect is absolutely contagious if you're receptive to it and open to giving it to others. That if you just stop thinking about your own world and allow others in, that feeling could be amazing. And that we all need to make this whole project an ongoing thing so that people get more used to feeling respected and don't just assume that people are looking at them in a negative way. And while my hypothesis was really simple, I was really surprised by the outcome of the entire experiment.
Thank you. That was 3:51. Now we have a procedure where we ask two people to respond to Jordan's speech by first saying what you like. So stand up, say your name, and say what you like, please.
My name is Caroline.
Hi, Caroline.
Hi. I really liked how you came up with a whole hypothesis. Like, I didn't even think of it that way. I mean, again, like, I'm also trying to avoid South Campus, so I'm not really into, like, science and math type of stuff. But, I mean, I know what a hypothesis is, and it's, like, really clever to come up with one to see if it's actually right. And I think probably a lot of us did that without, like, putting a name to it or realizing it, which Jordan did do, which I really liked. So.
Good. Thank you. How could she improve?
Hi, my name is Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
I think she did a good job, but maybe, well, I feel like she was playing with her hands. You know?
Yes.
Maybe I think she was a little nervous, so that's how she was showing it.
Mm-hmm.
But,
okay.
yeah.
So, when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube,
Awesome.
you will see that you were doing some stuff with your hands. Let me give you some additional feedback, Jordan. What I'd like a couple of big overarching things that I'd like to see happen with the speech. I liked it overall. You're very fluent. You're a very likable speaker. So don't get me wrong. I'm just giving you some suggestions for improvement. Love the hypothesis thing. That was excellent. Wanted to have a real overt, and by the way, folks, when I'm giving this stuff to Jordan, take it to heart for yourself. And if you're not doing this, do it now. Make changes in your own speech, because it's too late for Jordan, but not for the rest of you, right? I want a real overt thesis preview to say something like, so I did this hypothesis, and I was testing this hypothesis, and I'm going to share with you, the good, the bad, the ugly, some kind of a real overt with your voice of 3 things that are going to happen. I'm going to tell you 3 things. It didn't have to be the good, the bad, the ugly, but 3 things, and I'm going to tell you 3 things, and make it with your voice so we know we have a roadmap, a way to follow you, and a way to get along with you. So that's the first thing. Now, on your sorority recruitment and your ability, even though you said you were tired and hungry, you were still radiating respect. I like that phrase, as you put it, and it worked, and I assume that was the good. Mm-hmm. That was a positive story, and I liked the way you told that. On the brew and walk and the people ignoring you, and other places, and at the mall, that's to be expected. That's what I warned you was going to happen. People are really, these days, not sensitive to what's going on out in the world. They're locked into their phones and their earphones, and so they don't feel it. But remember, this exercise is for you, so you develop the habit of radiating respect at all times. And the way you learn a habit is by repeating and doing it so often that it becomes a habit. See? Yeah. The ugly it didn't seem that ugly to me, so I'm glad you didn't have some real ugly experiences, because some people actually do. And I want to say, with the look and the smile and the other stuff, don't look too long or stare too long, because then people will think that you're stalking them or something. It's just a matter of a look, and I respect you, and looking away is enough to radiate the respect. And longer it becomes something else. I liked the way you tied back into your hypothesis at the end and said what you learned. So you did a really good job, but just make your narrative more important. So after that thesis preview, that would be real apparent, so that as you were going through your speech, so now that I told you the good, let me tell you some of the bad. Now that I told you the good and the bad, let me tell you the ugly. And then tell us the ugly story. Then in summary, I told you the good, the bad, the ugly. Boom, here was my hypothesis. Other than that, really nice job, Jordan. Thank you. Another volunteer? Okay. Hi. Let me get you in focus, Lily. You're a little different in size. Remember, the green box don't come forward. You can go to the left and the right. And by the way, if you want to move to the left and the right on each of your major points, you may do so. For the good, the bad, the ugly, that's fine. Oh, but just don't come too far forward. Okay, Lily stands before you, managing attention. She's in the power stance. Feet are wider than her shoulders. She's managing attention, looking around. They're talking. Okay. She's communicating respect non-verbally. She's saying to herself, I respect my audience. She's finding friendly eyes near the front and center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Okay. Hello, my name is Lily Raji.
Hi, Lily.
And this week I set out to answer a question, and that question was, what would happen if I communicated respect non-verbally to every single person every day following our last lecture, and what kinds of reactions would I receive? I can honestly say that the only time I had ever practiced nonverbal communication was when playing poker. In poker, a large part of your success has to do with how successfully you can manipulate nonverbal communication against the other players. However, I had never experienced or considered what would be the positive or negative effects of nonverbal communication outside of that setting. However, this last week I went about practicing nonverbal communication and respect with various methods. For example, I nodded my head while internally repeating the mantra, I respect you. I maintained eye contact, lowered my glasses when speaking with someone so I could look them directly in the eye. I motioned for people to go ahead of me, held the door open, saluted, gave thumbs up, and other methods. And there were definitely mixed responses. I realized that nonverbal communication can significantly enhance the attitude or message you're trying to convey. However, the effectiveness does depend upon the audience, the people, their emotions, as well as the cultural context. So today I'm going to share with you the good, the bad, and the ugly that I experienced. And the first story is a positive one. So one of the methods I used the most was nodding my head while internally saying I respect you and maintaining eye contact. And one instance that stood out the most to me was last week. Before class, I made it to class early at the same time as my professor, and we arrived at the door at the same time. And instead of nodding politely and hurrying off to my seat as I normally would, I decided to nod, internally say I respect you, smile, and motion for him to go before me. He responded by nodding politely in return and introducing himself. That simple exchange of respect led to me discussing the course textbook, and the class with the professor, as well as introducing myself. It seemed as if the professor had taken the exchange more genuinely than if I had simply said, hello, my name is, and given off no nonverbal gestures. And the second response I received was definitely not as positive. While waiting outside of my sociology class, I decided it was a good time to look at the students next to me and do the same thing, maintain eye contact, nonverbally communicate respect. However, they gave off responses of confusion. They were confused, they gave dirty looks, some even rolled their eyes as if I had personally insulted them. It seemed as if my intentions of giving off an extra sense of friendliness had contradicted my intention. And the third response I received was definitely the worst. At a family party on Saturday, my cousin brought his best friend, who's Iranian, as am I, and his best friend gave a speech thanking us for inviting him and expressing his excitement in finally meeting us. And I decided, instead of simply saying thank you for your speech, I would politely salute him and give him a thumbs up. And it turns out in Iran, a thumbs up is equivalent to giving someone the middle finger. So he was definitely not pleased by that. My parents had to explain to him that I had failed to recognize what I communicated because I was not born in Iran. So after experiencing the good, the bad, and the ugly, I realized that nonverbal messages can send stronger messages often than verbal messages themselves. As you saw in the case with the professor, it helped make me more genuinely express my attitude, my emotions, and my respect for the professor. And in the case of the students, it went against my intentions, which made me realize that it can have to do with the situation, the emotions of the personalities of the people involved. Perhaps different students would have taken it more warmly. And in the case of the family dinner, cultural context definitely does play a role. So overall, I feel like if we were to add certain gestures every day, practice adding them in our day-to-day interactions, it would significantly increase the respect, the relationships we build with people. And I just want to leave off on a quote that I found online that I really liked, and it was by Peter Drucker, and it said, the most important part of communication is hearing what isn't being said. And I feel like through the experiment, I saw the validity in that statement. Thank you.
Thank you. 414.
What I like about
Uh-huh.
I really like
Name.
my name is Shasha.
What?
Xiao Xiao.
Xiao Xiao. Hi, Xiao Xiao.
I really like the fact that she used different examples to show her point, and then I like the fact that she has like an extra quote at the end.
Yeah, that was a nice quote, wasn't
Yeah.
it, by Peter Drucker. It's it takes a special quality of listening to have that empathy that he's talking about, hearing what people can't say or didn't say when they're speaking to you. And how can she improve?
I'm Allie.
Hi, Allie.
I thought she did a great job. I just think the only thing is she kind of like looked down a little bit, and I think probably was trying to find your points and stuff. So I think she did a great job.
Okay, thank you. Well, Lily, I liked your speech. I liked the way you approached it. I think you did you approached it sincerely, and you tried to do the experiment fully. One thing I want to caution you and others about is you do this with your hands sometimes, which is called steepling. And that sometimes people interpret that to mean you're feeling superior to your audience. And you don't want to ever steeple. If you ever go in to ask your boss for a raise, you'll see he'll go like this or like this, and he'll do steepling to, or sometimes people will sit with their hands and their thumbs up steepling. So you want to remove that from your repertoire if you can. I really liked your speech. I liked your opening about the context if you only practiced it in poker. That was an interesting beginning for your speech. One thing I would say overall, Lily, is when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you're going to see that you have kind of a similar tone throughout your whole speech. I'd like to see you work on developing an emphatic style of delivery where sometimes you speak faster, slower, louder, softer. So it's not all the same. So it's a little more interesting to listen to, okay? You did give us a good preview that we were going to get the good, the bad, the ugly. You told us of the good with your professor, and that sounded like it was a genuine, respectful encounter. I want to talk about the bad. I don't know what exactly you were doing, but I would say that people, if you just look at people and give them the respect and look away, that's enough. If you look too long, then they're going to think you're stalking them or you're a little weird. And that may have been what happened with this group of people. And you can't look too long. And you can still accomplish the same thing of saying the mantra and radiating respect without appearing weird. So I think that's the answer to that situation. And yes, the middle finger in Iran that you gave to your guest at the dinner party was a vivid example of how different gestures mean different things in different cultures. But and still, that's why I say if you're radiating respect and you apologize and he gets the vibe that you're being respectful and you meant it as a thumbs up in America means, I was just, when coming into UCLA, I have a 1951 Hudson Hornet convertible. I restore old cars, and I saw an old Cadillac, a 1949 convertible. And as I drove by, I gave the guy a thumbs up, and he gave me a thumbs up back. It's just something old car guys do to each other. And he didn't think I was giving him the middle finger, believe me, So, final thing I want to say to you is a little bit more of an outline instead of this dense paragraph for what you submit, okay, for your next one, so that it's, and it'll be easier for you to help you remember the speech. But overall, really excellent job. Continue to repeat the mantra, and those things that come out of repeating the mantra and radiating respect, like opening the doors for people and giving thumbs up and other things and smiling and being kind, will continue to happen. Thank you. Okay, next. Okay, go for it. You have a tattoo on your arm, huh? Okay, okay. Okay. Alyssa stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, saying to herself, I respect my audience. She's in the power stance, fighting friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi, my name is Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa.
This past week when we were originally assigned this assignment to say I respect you to strangers, it made me a little intimidated. I'm normally a shy person, so at the beginning of this assignment, I was questioning why are we doing this in a public speaking class? And throughout the week, as I went through the good, the bad, and the ugly of this experiment, it made me go from being a more closed-off person to more open and accepting of others. And I didn't initially find the good parts of this experiment until the end of the week, when I joined a sorority and found people that were similar to me and that I respected after a long week of meeting a bunch of people. And for me, the bad parts went through most of the beginning of the week. I had to go to 12 houses on the first day of sorority recruitment, and the 5-minute conversations with multiple girls in the house made me see how superficial initial conversation can be. And it made me feel as if I wasn't receiving the same respect that I was trying to give that person. And each person that I talked to, I tried to non-verbally communicate respect, but I found that I kept forgetting, and the superficial conversation made me feel that if that person isn't respecting me, then why should I respect them? And for me, the ugly basically means what I found the most true about this experiment, and that is that it was very hard for me to give that respect non-verbally to every single person that I met, as I found that as the days of recruitment got longer and I talked to more girls for a longer amount of time, I connected with those people more and found myself giving more respect to people who I had a greater connection with. And I also realized that the ugly part of respect is that it takes a while to gain respect, but it can be lost in 1/2 a second by a comment someone says or something derogatory, that I can find myself losing respect much more easily than building it. And what I learned throughout this week was that I find myself respecting people that I'm more connected with, even though I tried really hard to respect every person I met with eye contact and being attentive to them. That true respect didn't come till later on. And what I learned about this class from the good, the bad, and the ugly was, even though I questioned why we were doing this experiment and I wasn't really sure what it had to do with public speaking, I realized that I have always, with public speakers, made eye contact and paid attention to them, but I've never really truly felt that respect unless I connected with the speaker. And when that speaker shares a story that's more personal and that I can connect with, I felt myself being more respective of that person.
Okay, thank you. 342, stay up there for your feedback. And we're here, yes sir.
I'm Andrew.
Hi Andrew.
One thing, one criticism I would say is when you're speaking, is you kind of drag out toward the end of your words, so it may sound a little bored. So if you make it a little more concise of your words, it improve your tone.
Okay, interesting. Improvement?
Improvement or things that.
Okay, both. Sure.
Okay.
Was Andrew improvement? Okay, good. Okay, good.
Hi, I'm Michaela.
I'm Michaela.
One thing I did really like about your speech was that it was very like clear. It was kind of like you started off with your thesis and you went like exactly through. It was really nicely outlined, and you didn't like have anything kind of distracting you, and you looked like really focused while you're speaking. So good job.
Okay. Did you want to say anything else, or just
Nope,
just
that's
Okay, good. Thank you, Alyssa. Good. I have a couple things I want to talk to you about after class. So see me at the end of class. You started out with an honesty thing. You're shy, and I appreciate that. So you're being open about that, and that was good. And you told us honestly that you were wondering what the heck this had to do with public speaking and that sort of thing. You did give us a thesis preview, so we knew the good, the bad, the ugly was coming. Would like to see you just a little bit more with your voice, highlight the narrative. So let me tell you about the good and push it out there, right? Okay? Speak about the story at the end when you finally joined a sorority and you had closure and it was good and you were happy in the name of it or something, that sort of thing. That would have been helpful. The bad you talked about was how you had to go to 12 houses and be interviewed. It's sort of like a meat market, I guess, and it's sort of humiliating and impersonal and kind of a horrible process, really, isn't it? And you described that, and yet you did your best to try to do the procedure of, I hope, saying the mantra as you were speaking to them, even though you could tell some of the girls were just going through the motions. Oh, what's your name? Where you been? You're from San Diego. Oh, great. Okay, move on. But still, you want to, even in those circumstances, repeat the mantra and say, I respect you. And I know you said, I don't want to do it. If someone's disrespecting me, they're out of here. But I would counsel you to try to still continue to speak the mantra even when things are getting a little rough in the interpersonal market. The ugly, you said that you just couldn't do it with some people, that you just had to stop giving respect and shut down. And so what I would say is I'd like to see you to continue to try to do that. What you learned was clearly laid out, and your summary, your conclusion, and your tie back was good. So you got the speech done, and I think you practiced it well. I'd like to see you continue to say the mantra as you walk around and try to radiate respectful vibrations to the people you meet, and you'll find that it will cause you to be kind, open doors, and people will sense you're a respectful person, okay? Thank you. Okay, next. Okay. Ooh, you're taller, okay. No, don't move. I can move the camera. Okay. Hannah stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Undo your hands, let them be free by your side, yes. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi, my name's Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
And so one of the first things that I learned in my first comm class was about scripts. So those are the general guidelines that we use for the really impersonal interactions that we have throughout the day. So when this assignment was presented to us, I was like, this is a chance to use respect to break the scripts that I use in most of my interactions every day. So I had some good experiences, some medium experiences, and some negative experiences with breaking the script throughout the week. And I would like to tell you guys about that. So the first one was a good experience. So I decided pretty last minute on Saturday morning that I really wanted to go to the Stanford game, but I hadn't bought my Den Pass yet. And I could not figure out the website, so I called the ticket office. And when I first started talking to the woman who answered the phone, I realized that I was not practicing respect. So about halfway through the conversation, I took a deep breath and I was like, I'm gonna stop giving this woman a little bit of a hard time because I want my ticket, and start treating her with respect. And we actually ended up having a really good conversation once I started incorporating that into what I was saying to her. She told me that she wished she wasn't working, she wished she could go to the game, but hopes to be at the Arizona game this weekend. So that was a really cool connection that I found and totally broke the script. So my kind of medium experiences were when I was at the football game. I noticed that I was trying to practice respect to the person who showed me where to park my car, the person who scanned my ticket, the woman who sold me my iced lemonade, and I was trying to incorporate respect into those interactions, but I felt like they didn't really think that they had the time for it, so they would kind of ignore those attempts and just continue on with the script that they'd been following throughout the day. So I just kind of took that in stride, didn't let it bother me, and continued. So my negative experience was yesterday. Everyone knows it was super hot and I really wanted a Jamba Juice. So I stood in that really long line, and when I got to the front, I tried to show respect to the woman taking my order. She did not have the time for it. She was trying to get me to pay as fast as possible, order as fast as possible, did not want to engage with me, but I was really trying to be steadfast with my respect for her. And I saw her kind of getting visibly annoyed with me. She was looking at her coworkers, kind of being like, when's this girl gonna stop? And I ended up just kind of like walking away at the end feeling a little bit rejected by her. But I understood she was being busy and it wasn't about me. But overall, I really did feel like respect was a really easy way to, like I've been saying, break the script, incorporate something new, and find connections with people in interactions that I normally wouldn't connect with on a personal level. And respect can really incorporate a human experience with everyone that we talk to every day if we continue saying that mantra to ourselves. So I encourage all of you to use respect as a way to break away from those routine narratives.
Great, thank you. 2:45. Okay, we're here. Okay, you want to speak? Okay, you're anxious to speak. Speak. What did you like?
Hello, class. I'm Linnea.
What?
Linnea.
Linnea?
Yes.
Hi, Linnea.
Oh, sorry. It's Linnea.
Linnea.
Yeah.
Hi, Linnea.
When you were speaking, I really felt like you were making good eye contact with the room. And even though your hands are moving a lot, it felt very conversational and natural and nice job.
Yeah. Good. Improvement?
Hi, I'm Lily.
Hi, Lily.
And I really liked your speech. I really liked the stories you had. As far as improvements, maybe touching more on the nonverbal specific things you did. Like the first story, I wasn't sure if it was verbal or nonverbal. But besides that, I really liked it. And I really liked the breaking the script metaphor that you used throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, that was good, yes. Well, let's talk about this, Hannah. I liked your overall presentation. You're a very likable speaker. You're very fluent, and you did the presentation perfectly. You followed my prompt, and I liked that. You used the metaphor of the script, and that worked nicely. And I would argue that in some ways, this repeating the mantra is going to become a new script. That's a very important one. But in some ways it will break the script that many people are living by and working with and going through life living. On the thesis preview, it was good. You told us what was coming, so that was good. I agree with Lily, it wasn't clear. Just how you were giving respect to the lady on the phone. If you were thinking, I'm going to respect you, and then that caused you to treat her more as a human being and what you did. So I'd like to see more of, what. And in the second one, were you just repeating the mantra and looking and smiling, and what you were doing to communicate respect would have been helpful. On the ugly, yeah, I'm glad you tried to break the script and the normal thing. They really are trying to get people through the line, but I'm glad you tried because she didn't know how to handle someone that was breaking the script. And but I'm glad you tried, and you shouldn't. Just like you shouldn't take the people ignoring you when you radiate respect personally, you shouldn't try to take it personally when you say, "And how are you today?" and "Thank you so much," and someone says, "Whatever," they just don't have good manners. Your conclusion was good. I would have liked you to have said something more like, "And so what I learned," more, and make that a little bit clear of what you were doing. But really excellent job. Yeah, I liked it, Hannah. Thank you. Okay, next. No volunteers? Oh, yeah, come on down.
I didn't know it had to be typed, so I apologize.
Yeah, well, next time let's go for the old typewriter.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, Evan stands before you, managing. Oh, you're tall. Wow. We gotta adjust the old camera. There, I got you now, Evan. Evan stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, saying to himself, "I respect my audience," and really meaning it, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Don't hold your hand and pinch your fingers together like that. That says you're feeling insecure. Just keep your hands by your side. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech. Oh, and by the way, just to remember, I always use a white backdrop, so don't wear white to class when you're going to speak, because you look just like a head on YouTube. Okay, thank you. Okay, go.
So, hi guys, I'm Evan.
Hi, Evan.
Hello. So, a couple things. Hopefully you can see me, like you said, with a white t-shirt in, because I'm probably one of the most pale guys you're ever going to meet in your life, which is funny because I actually play water polo. And this weekend, actually, the water polo team was in Berkeley. We had a tournament, and that was good because in case, I just got all ugly responses, at least I wouldn't have to see them again. So that was all right. But so when we were up there, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
You were telling us about you were up north playing water polo.
Right. Sorry, can I see my...
Well, you're trying to get to the fact that you're doing the experiment.
Oh, right,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So, I consider myself to be a pretty open person to begin with, and that I communicate pretty well with people on an everyday basis. And communicating respect non-verbally while I'm an extremely talkative person, so that was kind of a rough patch I felt like I was going to hit, which was not being able to show my respect without being able to talk. So that was a speed bump I thought I would have to definitely overcome. But just like how I traveled up to Berkeley this weekend, I want to take you on a journey of how I progressed through the good, the bad, and the ugly. So to begin with, before one of our games, I was getting breakfast at a Starbucks, and I noticed that as I walked in, there were some people behind me, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to hold the door open for them and say, hey, welcoming them to come in before me and put them before me because I respected their time and whatnot. So I made good eye contact with them and ushered them to go before me, and that actually led to a conversation with them, which actually made me pretty happy because that was an opening that I could actually communicate with someone and make a possible connection with a fellow individual at the restaurant or Starbucks. In addition, when we were at the pool, I was watching one of the games in between the last game we played and ours, And even though I didn't initiate this this interaction necessarily, a woman came up to me and asked me if she would be able to use my chair that I was sitting in for an elderly grandparent that didn't have a seat at the time. And so I said, oh, of course, absolutely. Now, even though I did speak and I was making eye contact with her, I felt that because I just naturally thought, oh, because this is an elderly woman, that she deserves to have the seat over me, that was my non-verbal way of saying, here, of course, you can have my seat. So, again, I kind of ushered her to please take my seat. Now, things got to be a little ugly when I would see people around the pool deck and make eye contact with them and give them a simple nod of approval, like, yes, I acknowledge that you're there, and like kind of the how are you doing kind of face and eyes. And so I did it to one individual who did not exactly reciprocate my friendliness at the time, and actually kind of gave me like a little sour look and turned away. They may have had to do something with the fact that he was a USC water polo player, but I'm not entirely sure. In addition, when I was walking down my hotel stairs, there was a man who was holding the door open for me, which was nice. And I appreciated that. And as I said thank you, and I walked by, he kind of, I looked him in the eyes and gave him a nod as well. And then he said, or he didn't say anything. He kind of just gave me a like a mumble, but not like a oh no problem. It was like a like come on, get out of here. So that was interesting. But something that I noticed or that I found in this experiment was that I think a lot of times in our society nowadays with advancements in technology and whatnot, and someone mentioned it earlier about how we're all kind of looking down into our phones, that we kind of miss what's going on out in the world just right around us. And we can have the potential to make so many great connections with other people that we may not even know if we don't take our heads out of our phones for just literally 5 seconds to look someone in the eye, give them a nod of approval, and continue on with our day. So I think that is something that I'm definitely going to take with me throughout my time here. And I'm glad that the experiment went the way it did. And yeah.
Okay, thank you. That was 409. Thank you. Okay, let's give Evan some feedback.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
So my feedback is like really positive, and a suggestion for improvement. I really like that you did trip up a little in the beginning, but you kind of went with it and you caught up to your train of thought. So that's how it's both ways. And I also my improvement is at the end. You were so yeah, which isn't the best way to end a speech, but otherwise that was really good and interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Yes, please. Improvement?
My name is Alexa.
Hi, Alexa.
And I really like the speech and all the stories that you told, but maybe just improvements, start it with more of an introduction and say what you're going to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, Evan, let's talk about your speech. And you're a very likable speaker, and I like that. And you're fairly fluent, and that's good. When you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you'll see that you sort of didn't uphold your bargain that you made with your audience when you said, after you got through your intro of I went to Berkeley and I'm on the water polo team and this kind of thing, that you said you were going to tell us about your journey of the good, the bad, the ugly. But then we kind of lost the narrative throughout there. You didn't really, with your voice, tell us where you were. We didn't know which was good, bad, the ugly. And you didn't highlight that for us. And I noticed you had a whole lot of items in here that you didn't get to, the Uber driver and the other things, the things at the airport and so forth. Mm-hmm. And so that would have been useful to have had you present all that you were going to present and, do it that way. So what I would be looking for is, so you say the good and then you talk about, what happened at the Starbucks and giving up the chair for the elderly woman. And I guess the bad was the USC guy that snarled at you. I couldn't really tell what was really ugly. And then I needed to hear what you learned and then kind of a summary conclusion instead of a yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so you want to end on a bang, not a whimper, right? So when you watch yourself tonight, I'd recommend you re-practice this and redo it and get all the pieces in there that you originally had put in there, and so that you have a really complete speech. But overall, you got the job done, and I would encourage you to continue to practice saying the mantra and radiating respect, and you'll find that it will pay real dividends for you. Thank you. Okay, next. Okay. Ooh, perfect. Can you move that way? Take a step that way, please. Thank you. Half step more that way. Yeah, good. Okay, gotta move you up that way and this way. Is it Magali? Magali. Magali stands before you managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hello everybody, my name is Magali.
Hi Magali.
Hello. So upon leaving class, last time we met, I was a little unsure of exactly what the directions were because I felt they were so simple, and I think that's something like looking at someone in the eye is usually common sense. Like everyone knows you should look at them in the eye. But immediately leaving class, everyone was on their phone and not even looking up to me. So I think we're so, we have tunnel vision walking through campus. We have a checklist of things that we have to do, so we're not even focused on who's around us and not worried unless we have something to say to them or if we recognize them. But I began, trying to engage with everyone that I saw, and I tried to get some reactions out of people. And I didn't really have any really horrible experiences, but I did learn 3 ways that you can non-verbally express your respect to others. So as soon as I left class, I went to the gas station and I walked in there and I immediately looked at the lady that was behind the counter and I smiled at her, and then she said, "Hi, how are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm good, how are you?" And she started making small talk, nothing too personal, but it was just a little, simple conversation talking about her day. And it made something like just pumping my gas that much more enjoyable because I felt the sincerity in her voice, and it felt like, even though I didn't know her, I felt the genuineness. So that was a good sign. And then yesterday I was walking through Bruin Walk, and there was a bunch of clubs and sororities trying to recruit people, passing out little posters and flyers, and everybody was just dodging them. Everybody was looking down, trying to avoid them, not look at them, and just not even acknowledge them or stop a minute of their time. And I thought to myself, this was really bad because these people are under the sun and it's so hot and they're just trying to get your attention, and everybody is just walking right past them, not even looking at them, not even trying to give them the time of day. So instead of dodging them, because I usually do, I stopped and I listened to the girl, and she was talking to me about a dance class. Even though I wasn't too interested in the dance class, I did stop, I took the flyer, and I listened to what she had to say. And I think that really showed my respect to her because I cared about what she had to say, and I didn't want her to feel like I was just like everyone else ignoring her. Then I also, yesterday, which was kind of my first official week of class, I was walking around and, I was trying to generate and, radiate that positive and respectful vibrations to everyone, and hopefully if it comes from within and it's genuine, people are going to respond the same way. So I was smiling at people, and mostly everybody would look away, but then I had some people actually, look at me and then approach me and ask me something like, "Oh, do you know where this place is?" And even though I didn't know, I just felt like the positivity and the respect that I was generating from within really attracted others to me, that they felt comfortable, that they could ask me something because I was looking at them and acknowledging them, not just like anybody else that was walking by. And the things I did learn is that by looking at someone, you're giving them your attention, you're letting them know that you see them and you care to interact with them. I also learned that stopping and giving someone your time can really make a difference in their day and show them that you respect them and care about what they have to say. And I also learned just simply by smiling to people you can attract them and they feel comfortable talking to you, and it just shows respect because you're interested in, although you guys may be different, you can still talk to them because they seem to respect you and they seem a positive person and a happy person, so that draws you to them. And to conclude this, I think we should all just treat others the way we want to be treated. And if you smile at others, I think they'll smile back at you. If you listen to them, they'll listen to you. And that's the way to generate respect. Just treat them how you want to be treated.
Thank you. 43. Okay, where are we? We're here. Yes, sir.
My name is Andre.
Hi, Andre.
So what I liked about your speech was that you had a plot set up from the beginning and you followed it throughout. So you said what was the good, the bad, and ugly, and you summarized at the end. And I also liked how from like a high tone to a low tone, showing that about your excitement and enthusiasm about your speech throughout.
So there's variety.
Right.
So it's interesting to listen to. Improvement?
Hi everyone, I'm Jarelli.
Jarelli?
Yes.
Hi, Jarelli.
Hi.
A unique name.
Thank you. Magali, I really liked your speech because I was able to connect with it. When you talked about the Bruin walk, I feel like most people do walk by and just like dodge the people there, and I feel like you made me realize like, wow, I should probably like look up and say at least like a minute of my time to like talk to them. And I did, other than that, you did good, but maybe like I felt you started like touching your hands too much and like fidgety, and you started like going faster, but it was good.
Okay. Thank you. Magali, you will see your hands doing what she described tonight on YouTube, so be aware of that. I like your speech. You're a likable speaker, and that's a desirable thing. You started off with an introduction, and you weren't quite sure how to do the assignment. It seemed so simple because you kind of do this already anyway. The assignment, really was simple, just to repeat the mantra as many times as you can every day as you're walking around until you naturally are a respectful person. And these other things that you were doing, like eye contact and smiling and stopping, are natural outgrowths of being respectful. And I'm repeating the mantra. They happen because you're thinking about respect. Then actions come from thinking about being respectful, okay? So you had a little slightly different pattern of organization. You told us that there was going to be 3 stories like Steve Jobs, and that was great. I would have liked you to have a little bit more with the narrative said story 1, story 2, story 3, so we knew where you were. But your first reaction with the lady behind the counter was wonderful, and pumping the gas, and it was a positive reaction, and that was good. The passing out the flyers was also a good one that you commented on, and I hope resulted from you thinking the mantra and caused you to stop. And then you found that people were asking you for directions because you're approachable when you're radiating respect, as opposed to radiating nastiness or busyness or I'm not accessible, right? As many people do radiate other things, right? I liked your section on what you learned, and I liked your conclusion. So you did a nice job. Just work on with your voice, making your narrative more apparent, and continue repeating the mantra and see what positive things come from doing it. Thank you. Okay, next. Okay, and the battery needs changing, so you'll just, when there's a delay like this is a good learning experience. When there's a minute delay and there's a delay sometimes before you have to speak, what you do is you go to